This episode of Previews World Weekly is brought to you by Hakes Auctions. Since 1967, Hakes has been the premier source for all manner of Americana and collectibles. To see the full list of items available for auction, visit Hakes.com. Hakes, America's first collectibles auction house.
This week on Previews World Weekly, we'll give you our reactions to the Obi-Wan show, we discuss Joe Quesada leaving Marvel, and we unpack your unpopular nerd opinions. It's all happening right now on Previews World Weekly.
What's up, Previews World? It's Wednesday. It's New Comic Book Day, which means it's time for PWW Live.
Previews World Weekly?
Yeah,
PWW.
Yeah, PWW Live. No, I can do that, right? Like, that sounds good, right?
Yeah, I'm with it.
Okay. Let's make it a thing. All awkwardness aside.
Is this a test? Am I being quizzed?
I'm your host, Troy Jeffrey Allen.
All right. I'm your other host, Ashton Greenwood. I'm here.
I just like how you resigned. You're like, all right, I'm your host, Ashton Greenwood.
Yep, I'm here. I'm co-hosting this shiz.
Oh, man. top tier hosting duties here going on, guys. Hello, everybody. What's up, Baldo? Back again. Mr. Torres. Hello, everyone. Edward Huey. What's up, man? We are going. I see Edward's talking here about the Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi. We're going to get to that. We're definitely going to get to that because that is a topic discussion. I think we should all collectively agree right now. We didn't really discuss this. Are we doing spoilers or non-spoilers for Obi-Wan? I feel like, personally, we should do non-spoilers.
Sure, I will do my best, yes.
Okay, Johnny, you into that too? Okay, Johnny's giving me a thumbs up from behind the scenes. So, okay, cool. So when we talk about Obi-Wan later, no spoilers, just our genuine reaction, our feels. Okay. On the show itself. So there you go. All right, real quick, guys. Speaking of Star Wars, the Star Wars special auction event is online, and it actually closes tomorrow. Tomorrow is the final day, and this, of course, is brought to you by Hakes Auction. We've been telling you guys about this for the last couple of weeks. Of course, this is a ideal week. Ideal month actually for Hakes to be doing this because, of course, May the 4th, Obi-Wan, like plenty of Star Wars chatter in the ethers, our Star Wars celebration, and of course there's tons of stuff that you can bid on and potentially win, right? But here's the crazy thing: Hakes has already broke his own auction record. I saw that the other day. Actually, Johnny, Yeah, already they broke their auction record. Thanks largely to the Boba Fett rocket firing prototype. J-slot.
Sure.
I have no idea what J-slot means. It sounds a little dirty, but J-slot.
Okay. It sounds dirty or like someone's sweet street cred nickname.
Yeah, that's right, true. But actually, Johnny, any idea what the actual record was that was broken? I know that they broke their own record, but I don't know what the hard number is. No, okay. Well, we'll find out. We'll let you guys know maybe next week. But yeah, just definitely check it out. Hakes.com. Last day is going down June 2nd. So you got the clock's ticking, guys. You got to run over there. And if you're looking for just classic Star Wars collectibles, like the type of stuff that is rare and absolutely hard to find and will make you the envy of every Padawan in your neighborhood, then definitely pick it up and definitely check out Hakes.com. Please do it. Please.
I'm with it.
All right. Other things we saw this week, or I should say other things I saw this week, right? Altoids. It's not just for Bill Clinton. I don't know. That's a very dated joke. I don't know if anybody would get that joke. That's a very 90s joke. I don't know. Anyway, I thought this was surprising, right? So cartoonist Charles Burns, who's done his most famous work is Black Hole, which has been in kind of it's a graphic novel series, a miniseries. There's also a graphic novel available now, always available actually from Fantagraphics, and it's been in kind of this weird development movie hell for a very long time. Like Neil Gaiman was attached to it, and Brad Pitt was attached to it, and David Fincher was attached to it. Top tier people want to make this into a movie, right? So that's just a little bit of context, because Charles Burns did an Altoids commercial in the early 2000s, like a little ad, a comic book ad, actually, appropriately enough. Yeah, and it's exactly kind of, if you've ever read Black Hole, it's exactly what you think it is. It's a little, very dark and very eccentric, and very indie. And like, I don't know if you guys can see the description here, but there was something that was very unexpected. I wish I could have been a fly on the wall to kind of understand like who went for this. I mean, I'm kind of happy that it exists, but it is a very bizarre thing. So the people who have no idea what real pain is, their tiny little minds can't begin to comprehend it. First, you must learn to embrace pain, not run from it. Live in darkness. For 3 years, I've yet to see
Oh,
the light of day. By letting myself feel this pain, I've finally gotten to know the real me. And she breaks out Altoid strips, which I don't even know if they still make those anymore. And of course, they apparently bring happiness to her life, and that makes me feel
I'm,
happy.
I am lost.
Just a very strange thing that I think kind of fell down the memory hole because I remember seeing this, but my brain kind of completely forgot about it. I mean, look, shout out to Charles Burns for getting paid to do an Altoids
Yeah,
ad,
why
right?
not?
But yeah, just a very strange thing that I was reminded of this past weekend and just wanted to share. How about that? All right, 7 minutes in, so maybe we should talk about some more
Sure.
comics. You
Yes,
down for that, Ashton? Okay,
let's
I
do
think we're
it.
on a delay. Actually, I think you're a little lagging behind me a little bit, or something's going on here.
I actually thought
Or
you were lagging behind me. Maybe it's a mutual lag.
okay, maybe it's a mutual lag. Maybe we'll meet somewhere in between if we're both lagging at the same time.
Great.
All right. Here's this week's new releases. Ash and I are going to give us your picks. Ash and I are going to give you our picks. Sorry,
There it
and
is.
then we're also going to show you some of the items available this week. Let's go. And you know what? I lied because Ash and I are not going to give you our picks. Ash is going to give her pick, which is also my pick.
I think that's kind of
So
cool. We've never
yeah,
had like the same pick. We've never looked at like
no,
this full list of new releases and but wound up being like we're both really excited about this same one thing.
yeah. And I thought that was interesting. I was a little.
Uh-oh.
Troy. Earth to
Okay.
Troy.
Nope.
He's
Okay,
stuck.
I'm glad he's frozen for you too. I was like, maybe it's me. Maybe
Nope.
I'm winging this.
Ashton, why don't you go ahead because I know you were about to get into it. So let's know what your pick for the week is.
Okay, sure. So my pick for the week, also Troy's pick for the week, like I just said, we landed on the same page for once, is Never Ender #1 from Behemoth Comics. It's with writing and art by Devin Kraft, so he's tackling both duties here. And it's sort of this like retro futuristic sci-fi adventure, which I'm super into. You guys know I love sci-fi. And so it's set in the year 2X19, which I love because it's some just like indeterminate, crazy futuristic year. And due to breakthroughs in artificial intelligence, mankind is now living in space among the stars. And at the edge of civilization, the dominant sport is civilized sword duel to the death, which that sentence in itself is a bit of an oxymoron to me. And I find that incredibly interesting. And that's the #1 thing that caught my attention here is this insanely civilized, insanely futuristic culture society is so futuristic they've almost regressed in a way back to something that we did in ancient Rome, which is fight to the death for sport. I think that's a really interesting juxtaposition. And so these space duels have all kinds of different rules. You know, both fighters have to agree to the duel. They have to agree to the same time and place. It's only 2 to a duel at a time. You can't do like 4 against 5, whatever. And it's just a really interesting take on going so far, you go backwards. So I'm excited to see how this pans out. I'd love for Troy to be able to jump back in and give us his take on it.
All right, I think I'm cool. I missed your entire pitch. I'm sorry. But it does look cool. Like Neverender, like it's looks like it's a cool kind of science fiction concept. I got some
Mhm,
cyberpunk vibes from it, and it doesn't say that
mhm.
explicitly in the description, but it does look cool. And you know, it's funny actually, and maybe this is why I'm getting cyberpunk vibes from it too. It might be my own bias.
Mhm.
I'm currently reading Snow Crash, which is actually one
Okay.
of those titles that helped didn't birth the cyberpunk genre, but helped birth the cyberpunk
Mhm.
genre as we know it. And there's a main character in it who's named Hero Protagonist, hilarious, and he constantly gets into sword fights with people. And
Okay.
so yeah, this kind of brought that forward a little bit. I was like, oh, I wonder what this is like.
Yeah.
So yeah, check out Snow Crash, but also check out Neverender, available at your local comic
Mhm.
shop this week. Let's see here, what else we got? More new comics, right?
More.
More new comics, always more new comics. Like so many comics to your local comic shop every week, especially on Wednesday. So here's Anna with a rundown of the new titles that are available at your local comic shop today.
Hey Previews World, Mia here. Do you know what new comics are coming out this week? No? Well, let's take a look. Here's what's at comic shops for the week of June 1st, 2022. Is that it? No way. Your comic shop has something for every type of customer. So stop at a comic shop today, and I'll see you back here next week.
You know, I had to look this up because I just saw it. I saw it early this week and just kind of went over my head. Donald Duck visits Japan. You saw that? Did you see that too in the rundown? Yeah, it's Donald Duck works. It's available at the local comic shop today. Donald Duck works for the American furniture business Duck Furnishings. It's been 2 months since he and his employees Jose Carioca and Panchito Pistoles were reassigned to the Asian Culture and Distribution Department, and the phone hasn't rung ever since. Just as they were starting to wonder why they were transferred in the first place, the CEO suddenly orders them to travel to Japan. The three caballeros must learn all they can about Japanese customs, entertainment, culture, food, and clothing before they return to New York City, assuming they don't get into too much trouble first. That's very left field, and I am absolutely curious about this, and now I'm going to have to probably potentially buy this. That's from Tokyo Pop. That's out this week.
That's cool. Who came up with that? Like, comic book creators be just coming up with the most wild things sometimes.
Yeah, it's actually very elaborate too in terms of plot, like way more elaborate than I thought it would be. And also, why is Donald?
Are you guys familiar with the Three Caballeros?
Yeah, that's the Disney cartoon, right?
Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, it was from Saludos Amigos. I could be wrong, but they have a very popular following in other countries. Not so much here in America, but overseas, like the Three Caballeros are very popular.
Okay, so maybe that's what this is about. Maybe that makes a lot more sense. There's some sort of appeal here in Japan, and like they're bringing it over to the Americas now. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I just had no idea, and I knew there had to be a story there. There just had to be.
That cleared nothing up for me, I have to say.
No. Well, I mean, I guess, yeah, I mean, okay, that's fair. I guess it doesn't completely clear it up. But understanding that, okay, this is some cultural phenomenon that missed us by in America,
right,
and that's why it's being released, makes a little bit more sense to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, interesting. Very interesting altogether. I'm waiting to read The Closet from Image Comics. Yeah, that's actually one of the picks this week for sure. Let's see here. Have we proven that the prequel trilogy is greater than the original trilogy?
I don't think that's what the thumbnail's trying to say.
Okay, thank you, Ashton. Of course, that's Mystical Green Beanie is trying to stir the pot. Shout out to him.
That's why he was never invited back.
Oh, damn. Hey, congratulations on graduating, Mystical Green Beanie.
Hey, congrats. I love a hot take. I appreciate yours.
Annie Fox, hi. What's up, Annie? All right, the Matrix is in control. Oh, you talking about the glitch earlier? Yeah, you're probably right. Probably that's what happens when both of you pick the same comic. Actually, yeah, you're probably right. We probably did break everything.
Right.
We get to love you, Ashton.
Hi, Kenny. Love you too. I don't know who Kenny is, but I'm hip with it.
All right, keep a safe distance, Kenny. Okay. Anyway, how about some news? All right, Ashton, you ready to take over?
Yeah, there's some bangers this week.
There is actually. All right, let's do it. News time.
It's time for Anakin. The news has the high ground.
Yes! I love that.
That was a good one. That was a good one.
You underestimate the news's power.
Always on topic, Johnny. I love it.
Okay, so first story up this week is probably the biggest thing people are talking about this week, which is Joe Quesada leaving Marvel. Quesada announced in a statement on Twitter just yesterday that he'll be departing from Marvel after 20 years with the company. And so in his statement, he talks about when he first jumped into the world of comics, that his goal was to create his own character stories and universes. And now he finds himself kind of circling back to that as his main goal. And that goal kind of requires him to depart from Marvel to achieve it. But as he mentions in his statement, you can't get rid of him that easily. He'll be contributing to a larger Marvel storyline, which is poised to hit shelves later this year. So you have to keep an ear to the ground for that. And he also teased that following his departure, he'll be working on writing and directing his own indie film. And of course, he closes out his statement by shouting out you guys, the fans, who keep everything afloat in the comic book industry, and we can't do it without you guys. So Troy, what's your big reaction to this? You're, the Marvel guy.
I mean, I think he had actually stepped down as chief creative officer like sometime like a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. So this kind of feels like maybe part of a transition. Beyond that, Joe Quesada is Marvel. That's it's kind of crazy. Like he's been doing Marvel. Yeah, there's certain people that I think you kind of default associate with a certain comic company, and Joe Quesada definitely I associate with Marvel. And I know that he came into this business doing stuff with Valiant and a number of other creators. He didn't of course start with Marvel, but he has been like a Marvel cheerleader for I felt it was over 20 years, but it's a bit of a surprise, but I also kind of am not surprised just because I know he had transitioned out of the chief creative officer position. So this is a sea change. I think this is going to be something maybe we look back on for Marvel and be like, this was a considerable shift. And it might, maybe it'll impact content, maybe it won't, I don't know, but I think that we'll definitely find some noticeable changes after this. So very interesting. Actually, I think Kevin Feige is the new CCO. I just thought about that.
Marvel Comics?
Yeah, Marvel Comics. Yeah, I think Kevin Feige took up the chief creative officer position. I believe so. I could be wrong about that, but I swear I remember that from like 2 years ago. So
man, when does that guy sleep?
Yeah, exactly right. World domination. That's the name of the game. I'm going to look that up, but I'll let you talk about the next news item, Ashton.
Okay, cool. So next news item is artists, writers, and artisans, otherwise known as AWA Studios, is launching Lesser Evils, a new comic universe written by Anne Grody with art from Yishin Lee. The Lesser Evils universe includes a golem with benefits, a spiraling genie, a demon who feeds on bad vibes, a mischievous mermaid, all things I can get behind. I'm with it. So the first comic in the Lesser Evils universe is called Emmett, A Lesser Evil Story. It was released last week on May 25th in 6 languages: English, Brazilian, Portuguese, Spanish, French, Italian, and Hindi. And we'll circle back to those multiple language options in just a minute. I also want to point out that Emmett, A Lesser Evil Story will be released to comic book stores on August 24th. As will future Lesser Evils comics, which will be titled Jin, Thrifter, and Tales. Okay, so to circle back to the multiple languages, AWA has partnered with Global Comics to publish these comic books digitally in multiple languages for a global audience. And so this gives these stories an interesting foothold to attack kind of a global audience digitally. And then, of course, they're also going to be available at your local comic shop in print format. We know how much you guys like to touch comics and sniff them and all of that weird stuff. What?
I mean, legit people have come on the show and said they, in the comments, be like, I want to smell them. I like it, I mean, I get it. That's fine. Don't act like you're any different, Ashton. I recall you saying the same thing about novels at one point in time.
Oh yeah. Oh, I've said that more than once. Yeah, like old books. I love the smell of old books.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I'm totally with you on that. Yeah, shout out for them for trying to make this a global operation for releasing other languages. I'd like to see actually more publishers do that. Like not just digitally, but just also in print, to see them actively release certain titles in other languages. I think that's really interesting. So that's some of the news items that have been going on for the last couple of weeks. But we also wanted to point out that this past week, actually on what day was it? May 26th, actually. Diamond, our sister, our mothership, actually, not our sister company, our mothership, released their list of top products for the month of May. And so what you have here is actually an interesting collection of titles. Definitely Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the last run. I'm sorry, for April. I totally lost track. That's right. Yeah. No. Okay. Yeah. Right. Okay. But yeah, TMNT, the last runner, was definitely at the top end. Right behind it was Amazing Spider-Man #1, the Hulk by Donny Cates, which I'm definitely a fan of. Also also is in the top 3. Gunslinger Spawn, Todd McFarlane, staying in the top 10. Bloodstained Teeth #1, which was a pick of yours like a few weeks ago, actually, Ashton. Saga #58, no surprise there. Spawn, The Scorch, more Todd McFarlane. Berserker #8, actually, the Keanu Reeves led Berserker, maintaining its spot in the top 10 every single month. And then rounding things out, King Spawn #9, more Todd McFarlane, and Alice Ever After #1 from Boom Studios, which is that was a premiere issue by, I think it's Dan Panozzi and a collection of others. So of course you can check out the full list of top 10 items, because we don't just do the comics, we do the graphic novels, we do the top 10 toys by dollars invoiced, we do the top 10 games. Just head on over to PREVIEWSworld.com and it should be on the front page under what's new. So definitely keep an eye out for that. If you're curious, because I know we got these people on YouTube and online who love to number crunch and love to compare the numbers and see who kind of came out on top. If you're one of those people, definitely go to PREVIEWSworld.com and check it out. All right. I'm preparing myself to not use spoilers. Okay. So, Johnny, did you want to jump into this conversation? I'm not sure. We're going to talk about Obi-Wan.
All right. Welcome.
Okay. All right. I figured you would, but I wanted to ask just in case.
I mean, I am wearing my Star Wars shirt today, so I had to.
That's good.
It's a concerning looking Yoda.
Oh, it's my Star Wars Tiki shirt.
Okay. Never mind.
You have another Star Wars shirt too, don't you? Another
I've got
shirt?
like 5 or 7, something like that.
Okay. 700, hard to say.
Like another Hawaiian beach shirt, right? Like you have others.
Well, I've got a Hawaiian shirt that's like made out of actually 1980s like Star Wars bed sheets.
That's right. And you have worn that on the show before. So, needless to say, clearly Johnny is the official on all things Star Wars. Johnny,
I wouldn't call myself an official. I'm going to say an aficionado.
Aficionado. Okay, fair enough. An official. Johnny, I'm gonna let you go first since you're jumping on the show right now. What was your initial reaction to Obi-Wan Kenobi?
I think I really like it so far. I mean, we're only, as of today, episode 3 just dropped, or chapter 3, whatever you want to call it. I'm liking it really good. It's like something old and something new at the same time.
Right.
Yeah. It's some of the classic characters we remember and love and have watched on the big screen, but done with a modern touch in the vein of the Mandalorian and everything like that. And I think it's in a little bit of a different, it has a little bit of a different feel to it, but it just feels, and I hate to say this, much more professionally done.
Interesting.
In terms of the story.
Then what?
Gotcha.
More professionally done than what?
I mean, and then as opposed to the prequels.
Okay.
Oh,
I can see that. I can see that.
Interesting.
Swelling.
I'm saving it for later. That's my unpopular nerd opinion. We gotta circle back to it.
Yeah, we're definitely going to get into the weeds on that.
Spoilers aside, I'm thinking it's really, really good so far. I think it's great to have Ewan McGregor back at playing Obi-Wan. I think the way he's portraying the character is great. It's true to the character and what he's done so far. I will try to say as spoiler-free with this statement as possible. I could do without a lot of the actor cameos from people that we already know pretty well.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Have you seen it, Troy, so far?
So I watched the first episode, and I kind of had to stop after the first episode, and I'm going to continue. I'm going to try to squeeze in 2 and 3 this week, actually, just for, not even for this show, just for my own personal selfish reasons. Like, I just want to know what's going on. Yeah, like, it's interesting. It's interesting that you say professionally done, because I feel like the show looks a little cheap.
Really?
A little cheap. And when I say a little bit cheap, I just mean just in terms of, and this is me being a film nerd, I know. in terms of cinematography, like they could have color corrected the show a little bit better. And
Okay.
so, but instead it looks like it has the colors of a BBC sitcom, you know. And yeah, it's very specific, right? And these are the type of things only I pay attention to. Not a lot of people care about this. I just felt that visually, Mandalorian looked looked sharper, looked more cinematic. And I feel like if you're going to make a story that's period, if it's in the Star Wars universe, I don't care if it's on television, I don't care if it's a video game, it has to look cinematic because Star Wars, in more ways than one, belongs to movies. You know, that's how I see it anyway.
Yeah.
So outside of that, yeah, it's one of those things where the story was what I expected, and I was very happy about that.
The story took a sharp left turn in the second episode that I did not see coming. I was not ready for that.
Okay.
Tori, let me ask you this, if I may, just real quick. In terms of like the color correcting, do you think that might have been a conscious decision in terms of the bleakness of how the setting is supposed to be, considering it's like the Empire has taken over? Right,
it's post-Empire. I would say yeah, sure. Except that the original trilogy also exists.
That's fair.
And, you know, so that's just kind of I mean, it's a nice return. Like I think it is cool. I think that I take that back. The one thing that happened that I did not expect actually happened in the first episode. There's definitely like, I don't know if there's a twist, but there's definitely it definitely goes in a different direction in terms of what's at stake. And
yeah, that's what I was referring to as well.
Okay, all right. So that's the first episode, right? Not the second episode.
I don't know. I watched them back to back, so it just kind of all bled together for me.
But Ashton, what was your take?
I really like it. I'm really excited about it. I've always liked Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan. I think he's great. And I think the number one thing I liked about Obi-Wan that it does really well is it takes our heroes and it puts them on their back foot, right? They're down on their luck. The good guys are losing. And that's the thing about Empire that everybody always loved, is it upped the stakes by making the bad guys have to really fight for it. And they really lean into that a lot with this. And I like that. And I like that they take Obi-Wan, who's kind of always this symbol for hope in the prequel trilogy and always is kind of this optimistic focal point, and completely break him down to bare bones. And he's got to work through that and what it means to be a Jedi after the fall of the Republic. I think there's a lot of interesting character development that can happen there, and kind of exploring what that means through flashbacks and future building. And I'm really excited.
Absolutely. I mean, I think I said this last week, but this is the story. This is the story I wanted.
Yeah.
Like this is like there's a handful of things they've done with some of the more recent movies and TV shows where I'm like, okay, thank you. This is what I want to know. Like, you know,
right.
But there's also been a lot of things that I'm like, I don't really care about this. Like, I just don't know, you know, but this in particular is a story I want to see told. And I know they've told the story, variations of the story in comics, even so more recently in the Marvel comics. They've told variations of the story in novels and whatnot. But again, Star Wars is a visual thing. That's kind of my whole thing. Like, it's a moving picture phenomenon. And like, I just feel like I'm mostly at home with Star Wars when they're doing something with something cinematic, you know? So definitely into it.
Annie's saying she loved it. She said she loved Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Nice.
Agreed.
I thought I sent this to you, Ashton, but there's a great Lad Bible interview actually with Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor where they're doing this disagree thing.
Oh,
I've been trying to tell you about Lad Bible. Yeah, where they're doing the water and they're like agree.
I watched that
too. Yeah, you've been trying to tell us about Lad Bible. Apparently it's the place to be, because like that was actually a really cool, you know, you can watch a lot of press junket interviews and like, you know, get like whatever information, but they were very relaxed in talking about the filming the old prequels, comparing to filming now, and talking about lightsabers then versus now. It's just a really great video. If you get a chance after the show, guys, go ahead and check that out, because it's actually pretty cool. Anything else to say on Obi-Wan, Ashton? I feel like you might have some more to get off your chest, but it might be for the later part of this conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it'll find its way back into the unpopular opinion segment. Let's circle back. No, I just thought they did a really good job. I think it does a really good job of functioning as like a centerpiece. Like it fills in the gap between what we know from the prequels and where we need to arrive in order for A New Hope to happen. And it hit all of the right points, or at least for me so far it has. And kind of like one of my biggest questions has been like something that, okay, so I guess not a question, but like something my brother and I always laugh about is like, why is Alec Guinness, like, why is Obi-Wan looking so old? If he's like supposed to be 60, you wouldn't be looking that old. And it's funny that they make jabs at kind of like Obi-Wan's appearance to kind of bridge that gap as well. That was cute.
No, it's actually really nice. I believe Deborah Chow is doing a great job. You can tell she is a Star Wars fan. That's right. It's the
for sure
director and showrunner, I believe. I think also along with David Filoni and a couple other people. But yeah, no, I'm into it. We'll see. We'll circle back to this at the end, and then we'll do our hot takes. We're not going to talk about this every single week, right?
Yeah.
But we're going to circle back to this, I think, at the end, and maybe just kind of give our initial reactions. Yeah, absolutely. All right, trailer time. Let's focus on Seven Sons. I don't know if you remember this, Ashton, but Jay Lee, I've said before, is one of my favorite artists. And so I got real defensive about him during one of our year-end talks. I think it was like about a year or 2 years ago.
Okay.
Defensive about him because of some stuff that was going on at the time. But Jay Lee can do no wrong. And all the more reason that we're going to show you the Seven Sons trailer from Image Comics, and you can just marvel at his artwork. And I will tell you more about the story when we come back. Check it out. All right, and that is Seven Sons from Image Comics. Little breakdown of the premises, being described as The Fugitive meets the Book of Revelations, which is actually kind of interesting, right? Delph is Delph is a young man who may be the second coming of Christ. He's running for his life as he attempts to learn the truth behind his existence. And as I mentioned, this is art by Jay Lee. This is actually, I think, the first new title he's done in a very long time. I think the first like creator-owned title he's done in a very long time. I probably want to say since Hellshock, which was in the 90s, I believe. Like that's how far back it goes. But this is a 7-issue limited series, and it is available to pre-order now. Issue 1 and 2 are actually available to pre-order now. So go to PREVIEWSworld.com /pullbox and place your orders with your local comic shop. Make sure that they are participating and get in on this, because this is actually going to probably be a really cool run. All right, more yelling. We haven't really yelled yet. Yeah,
we're about to.
We're about to, though. Guarantee. I saw some of the unpopular nerd opinions this week, and I was like, oh,
spicy.
Right, exactly. That's a spicy. All right, so let's do it. Social swamp time. Good Lord.
Okay, so as Troy said, we're circling back to one of our favorites this week. We're revisiting your unpopular nerd opinions. And that means anything in the nerds hemisphere, comic books, TV shows, video games, whatever. Give us the opinion that makes your friends mad at you, and we'll discuss. So let's see what you guys had to say. Danny says, the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League was 5 hours of my life I can never get back. It makes Captain Marvel look like Citizen Kane.
Oof.
That's ridiculously spicy way to say that.
That was a 2-for-1 too. It was a shot at Zack Snyder's Justice League and Captain Marvel.
Right. Deanne says Tom Cruise is overrated and a mediocre actor.
You know what, Deanne? You can't talk about Tom Cruise and learn how to spell mediocre, you jerk.
Yeah, that was not close.
No Tom Cruise slander here.
Key says the amalgam age of comics was amazing and should have more continuation.
That's actually, we've gotten that one a couple of times, actually.
People feel strongly about it.
I feel strongly about it, yeah.
Sarah says Tolkien was a terrible writer with a brilliant imagination.
I I don't know. As someone who had to read The Hobbit, I could not get into it. Like, it works way better as a movie for me than it ever did as a novel. But I might also just be an idiot, so whatever.
I've never read any of them, so
It's the first couple chapters is like songs, and I was just like, I can't do this.
Justin says comic accurate costumes in live action movies look terrible.
Yeah,
sometimes that's true.
Yeah, sometimes that's
that
true.
is true.
That is true. No, you're absolutely right about that. I definitely did not like the Black Bolt costume in Doctor Strange. Yeah, so I get that. That was pretty comic accurate, actually. It didn't need to be. So, yeah, I might have to agree with you on that one.
Megan says the Tim Burton CNTCF. Okay, so yeah.
Charlie and the
Charlie.
Yeah, I realized that after I said the initials. I was like, I should have just said it. Movie is better than the Gene Wilder one. I don't know why I can't read that. That seems like the wrong answer. I do like Johnny Depp as Willy Wonka. I liked that adaptation a lot, I have to say, but I don't know about that.
Interesting. I don't remember them well enough, either one, to kind of make that judgment.
Jordan says the MCU is a lifeless cash grab and has been since Age of Ultron.
No. That is a spicy take. I mean, there's always going to be some MCU hater. I'm softening on my blind MCU love, I will admit, but I would say that they've had quite a few hits after Age of Ultron. I don't think that's entirely fair.
Chris says the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy is more complete and better than the OG Star Wars trilogy.
Johnny did this just to troll me. I know he did. He's laughing too.
It just feels needlessly ignorant.
Actually, we talked about this. You can't call the comments ignorant.
I did get clocked in the comments one week. Someone for using the word ignorant.
It's okay. It's worth it.
I think it is. I disagree with that opinion. That is a spicy take to have about the original Star Wars movies. Go on with your bad self or whatever. Ryan says Jar Jar is a decent character, and as a 90s kid, I don't understand the hate. Maybe it's bias, but I adore the Phantom Menace. Shout out.
There's a lot, look, putting aside my crotchety old man, which apparently I was even back in 1999 when Phantom Menace came out. I cannot excuse the Phantom Menace. I'll make excuses for any of the other movies in the prequel trilogy. I can't co-sign anything Phantom Menace. Well, I guess Darth Maul. So
Duel of the Fates, the song and the battle.
Yeah, okay. Anything Duel of the Fates is fine. But the problem is there's like 2 hours and 10 minutes more of movie around that I can't get down with. All right, Ashton. What is your unpopular nerd opinion this week?
My unpopular nerd opinion is that the Elder Nerds ruined the prequel trilogy for the rest of us.
Actually, they talk about that in the Lad Bible video. Actually, they did bring that up, which I thought was kind of interesting. Getting it.
They do mention it.
Yeah, but I'm sorry. What's your take here?
So the long and short of it is, like, the prequel trilogy came out between 99 and Revenge of the Sith came out in 2005. So, Lucas tried to take the approach of, like, we're targeting young Star Wars fans and we want to kind of establish some sort of endurance for this franchise by targeting younger fans and telling backstories. It worked for me. I was 4 when Phantom Menace came out. I was 10 by the time Revenge of the Sith came out. I was squarely in the demographic they were aiming at. And for me, it landed. Yeah, I think a lot of stuff in the Phantom Menace was hokey and the plots kind of misses in a lot of respects. But I think Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith were great and they worked for me. And I thought they were fantastic. And a lot of the things they were trying to accomplish landed on me, landed on my brother, landed on other people that were already Star Wars fans when those things came out. But the people that were, young when the original trilogy came out they were chasing that feeling, and they were looking to recapture it in this prequel trilogy, and it just didn't happen. You can't, capture lightning in a bottle twice. So it was already doomed from the get-go to land in that way. And they were mad that they, didn't get whatever things they wanted, whatever maybe Star Wars Legends expanded universe tales they wanted to see told. And so they were like, we all hate it. This is the worst. We don't all hate it. You guys hate it, and that's cool, and that's your vibe. That's fine. You feel that way. But it's not cool to go out and be like, we all hate it. It sucks. Jar Jar Binks is the worst. It's terrible. Like, I didn't like Jar Jar Binks, but
I was about to say, come on.
I just think that the loudest voices at that time were the quote unquote elder nerds, and the critics who were also elder nerds. And because they were the loudest voices, they spoke on behalf of all of us. And it came out like everyone that likes Star Wars hates the prequel trilogy. And I just think that was an inaccurate representation of what was happening.
All right. Yeah.
And there's been some interesting retcon in that, like, we all hated the sequel trilogy so much that a lot of people were like, hey, prequels weren't that bad, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Like, come on, guys. Think about it. I revisited Revenge of the Sith, and even when I saw it in the theater originally, I always thought it was definitely the better of the trilogy. Of the prequel trilogy. And I think that was another one of those examples, like I said, with Obi-Wan, where it's like, okay, you gave me the thing that I've been wanting to see. I've gone back and forth with this over countless Christmases and Thanksgivings with my cousins who are probably the same age as you, Ashton. And they pretty much wore me down on this, where I'm like, okay, you know what? George made it clear early on that these weren't for, not that they weren't, but that he was targeting a certain demographic. You know what I mean? With these prequel movies. And he accomplished that. And I think the proof is in the pudding. And I think it's actually funny because, you say the elder nerds were the ones raging against it, and that's absolutely true. They definitely were. But I think it's really interesting that it's because they had the level of access to the internet, more than likely, that you at 4 years old, Ashton, did not have. Like, you know what I'm saying?
No.
Right. And even at 10 years old, I think you said when the Revenge of the Sith came out, you also did not have, like, you know what I mean?
I
like,
did not have access. And what was I going to do at 10 anyway? Like, get on what, MySpace? You're like, Hayden Christensen's cute. Huh? Like, that's not useful information.
So I think, I guess if we're saying, like, give it a pass, I'd say, give it a pass. Like, Jake Lloyd, I guess. I can't hate on him, I guess.
Okay, but that's what I said. Like, a lot of the stuff in the prequels, I don't think, or not the prequel, sorry, Phantom Menace. Phantom Menace aged the worst of the three of them. The Jake Lloyd thing's weird. It's super cringy. Like, a lot of the acting's cringy. And a lot of that stuff does come off as hokey, but I just think the Phantom Menace is one of those things where, at least for me, like, you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? Like, Duel of Fates is amazing, the song and the battle. I love Darth Maul. I thought that was great. So, and I liked Qui-Gon Jinn. I think Qui-Gon Jinn's important for, like, the trajectory of things, because he's, like, the freest thinking Jedi maybe ever, depending on who you want to ask.
Yeah, man. No, I think that's totally fair. Yeah, actually just reminded me the whole weird flirtation between Natalie Portman and Jake Lloyd
and this small child.
Just weird stuff. Like, and I don't know. I don't quite understand why he was going. I just look at that and I'm like, this easily could have not been a thing, and you could have just introduced him to Padme like much later on. He's a Jedi. He has to be a bodyguard for her. Done. It could be Whitney Houston's bodyguard with Star Wars. Like, I would have been fine with it.
I'm with it.
But yeah, to have those moments in that first movie was like, ew. Yeah, but Attack of the Clones is fine. And I think Revenge of the Sith is actually pretty good. And actually rewatching it, I felt it was surprisingly forward thinking in some of the stuff that it was depicting. Like, I think that it's just interesting because, so just roll with me here for a second, right?
Yeah. No, I'm interested in this take. I want to hear what you have to say.
Watching Revenge of the Sith, right? I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, so you could take this as Anakin is being completely and totally gaslighted by Palpatine, right? And Anakin's taking his views at face value based on his needs, right? To
Right.
protect his at that point they're married. They're secretly married, right? So I thought that was really interesting. I thought it was also really interesting, and some of this was a response to the Bush administration. A lot of this was a response to the Bush administration at the time. But I thought it was really interesting, just some of the political subtext and how some of those things are still issues. A lot of those things are still issues today. The veil of war and a false enemy to kind of drum up support. I mean, these are all things that we still deal with. And I thought that the movie was surprisingly prescient, I guess is the right word.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, it just kind of really came full circle for me rewatching it just early this year. So yeah, I'm with you on that.
I can get behind
John,
it.
did you?
Yeah,
Here's John to yell.
Two things. One thing, to what Ashton said about appealing to a younger demographic. I was 6 when Return of the Jedi came out, and I still very vividly remember seeing it in the theaters. Now, granted, people may make the same argument.
Oh, wait, you said Return of the Jedi.
Oh, Jedi. I apologize.
Yeah.
May make the same argument in terms of Jedi and Jar Jar Binks, like with the Ewoks.
Okay.
Yeah, no, they
That
did.
might
They
be a
totally did.
problem.
Yeah.
But I still I remember seeing, like, wanting to see more. I remember going back and watching the original movie and Star Wars: A New Hope, and still loving it. So even at that young age, he was a man. He managed to capture my imagination and my attention. So I hate to argue with you, but I don't necessarily buy the fact that he wanted to appeal to a younger demographic, but couldn't still make it work in a way that was palatable to more audiences. If I'm really saying that clearly enough. Secondly,
Well, I think.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No.
Well,
Secondly,
go.
The idea of like Star Wars: The Bodyguard is just stuck in my head now. Because now all I can see is the scene with Anakin and Padme. Whitney Houston comes on and like, and I'm like, somebody make this happen. Somebody make this happen.
You guys don't ever say
but
Johnny won't commit, guys. He
No.
will commit.
I know that was a full send.
I have not sung in a while. I miss my karaoke days. Anyway, we have a couple comments. George saying Phantom Menace is okay, but it would be the same without Jar Jar.
Actually, that's fair.
Trying to figure out what is the difference between old and young nerds. George was saying whether you were a fan.
Did we answer that question, or are we just going to blow past it?
Well, I'm just saying.
Well, no, George is
chiming in by saying whether you were a fan prior to the prequels or during the prequels. Is that kind of accurate? You say
that's not quite what I mean. That's not quite how I was thinking about it, because I was already a Star Wars fan when the prequels came. And that just lived on in my TV. It was just on in the background forever, from the time I was an infant child to like yesterday.
Yeah.
So I just think the way I'm thinking about it is just like an age, right? Like I said, I was between 5 and 10 when the prequels came out, and I would push that even to into the late teens, versus people that were kids when the original trilogy came out were more your elder nerds, at least as I'm referring to it.
I still think it's all compartmentalizing everyone. I mean, there is no real true basis. I mean, I like to think that it's like, if you like a movie, you like it. If you don't, you don't. It doesn't really matter ultimately what age you are. To Ashton's point, yeah, it did kind of skew that way in terms of when the prequels came out. So that's the way a lot of people tend to view the whole dichotomy of Star Wars fandom, unfortunately. And he's saying she didn't mind Jar Jar as a kid, but really didn't like the Italian bird frog that was Anakin's slave owner.
He's talking about Watto, and actually Watto, yeah. And
Watto,
George actually bottom. George also comments on Watto, actually, which is really interesting.
I forgot about Sebulba and the pod racing. I can't tell you how many times I crashed my bike into my brother trying to recreate the part where they get hooked in the pod race.
That's actually great. I love that.
They're saying when Phantom Menace came out, I was in my teens. Liked Phantom Menace. Not enough Maul. Too much Jar Jar. Favorite episode of the prequels is episode 3. I remember going back and watching it, and Darth Maul says 36 words of dialogue in the entire movie. I'm like, really? I mean, you couldn't anticipate that this was going to be, a favorite character. Give him more screen time, but you decided to
just off of appearance.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I feel like if you're the graphic designer or the costumer and you're seeing this thing, you have to kind of look back and go, oh, this is gonna be hot. Like you have to like look at Darth Maul and be like, this is gonna blow up. And George just didn't see it. Like I think that's really interesting. Also, uh, I cannot remember the guy's name. Ray Parks, right?
Yep.
Or is it the guy who sung? Is it the guy who sung Ghostbusters? I can't remember.
No, that's Ray Parks.
Okay, Ray Parks. I don't know if he is now, but he was not the best actor at the time. And they really wanted to utilize him mostly for his martial arts skill. And it's actually testament because then he shows up in X-Men the following year, and he also has like 3 lines.
Yeah, he's acting as Toad, but he still does like a little like double blend
martial arts thing.
Call back to his appearance.
Right, yeah. It's just like, okay.
Edward's saying, I like all the movies, not a big fan of the Disney ones. That's fair. Everyone's got an opinion.
That's fair.
Phil Donaldson, the only ones I like are A New Hope for being the first and Empire Strikes Back for being a full story without obvious toy tie-ins, but that's just me, I guess.
And that's again a criticism of the Ewoks, right? Like,
Mhm.
I actually the first time I even realized people didn't like the Ewoks was like when I saw Clerks, and they made that joke in the movie, and I remember sitting there being like, wait, people don't like the Ewoks? That's the thing? But yeah, people don't like the Ewoks because they think, for the same reason they don't like the prequels, they think like, oh, they're catering to kids, and it's like, well, it was kind of always meant to be like a youthful adventure type thing. I don't know what to tell you. Anyway, anything else?
Yep, George saying Maul is the prequels of Boba Fett.
Yeah. Oh god,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely,
That's valid.
absolutely, yeah.
I mean, granted,
think-
like these characters, I mean, Maul, I definitely has gotten like more of a backstory in terms of the Clone Wars story. Or was it
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Is it
Yeah,
Clone Wars?
it's
or-
Clone Wars.
Clone Wars, that's what I thought, yeah. So,
It's Clone Wars, yeah. I mean, I'll also say that I also don't think the Solo movie is all that bad. I think it's okay, since we're talking about Darth Maul. And I kind of feel like one of the big crimes is I really would have loved to have seen Darth Maul more in a live action thing.
Right.
And I feel like the current wisdom is that, oh, just don't go back to it. It's dead. Like I guess they'll do
Mhm.
something in the cartoons, or they've done stuff in the cartoons with him as the crime lord, as a crime boss, but I would have loved to see Ray Park now playing that character and
Mhm.
really just tormenting any of the heroes, any of the rebellion, young Han Solo. It doesn't matter, just somebody. I would have been all for that.
Anybody.
Anybody, right?
I'm with you, Troy. I like Solo
Mhm.
also. I mean, like just the fact that like they took a lot of the stuff that have been developed over years and actually put that into the movie. Like the fact that like
Yeah.
how Han rescued Chewie, the fact that they put the
Yeah.
Kessel Run into the movie alone
Yes.
to me is amazing. And
Yeah.
the fact that they address the fact that the Kessel Run is a matter of a distance, or parsecs is a matter of distance and not time.
Mhm.
Time.
That
yeah,
also, for me, that alone saves that movie. I'm like, okay, I see what you did there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm. Yeah. I thought it was a cool movie. I didn't
Yeah.
love it, but I thought it was cool. All right, we probably should move on because we're at the 54-minute mark. Ashton, what is this week's poll?
Guys, it's Dinosaur Day today. I'm not sure if you heard, but it's Dinosaur Day. I love dinosaurs. I think they're great. I specifically like Stegosaurus, is the ones with the pointy backs. But that's neither here nor there. We asked you guys which of these pop culture dinosaurs would make the best pet, the goodest boy, if you will. And your choices are Dino from the Flintstones, Yoshi, or Blue from Jurassic World.
All right, so we probably don't have time to get into the weeds about this, but Johnny, you're usually the decider, so decide.
Mhm.
Oh, this one's easy because out of
Okay.
these 3 choices, only one of these can float.
You talking about Yoshi?
Yeah, of
Not
course.
sure why that's a deciding factor, but okay.
I mean,
I
that's some
mean-
like nice, easy transportation right there. Like
Okay.
Blue
It is
Jurassic
true.
World is just like one bad day away from eating like the neighbor's kids or something like that.
Yeah.
So that's
Right, yeah,
just-
it really is.
Dino is just a household disaster. Like you know how many
Yeah.
doors he has broken just trying to welcome Fred Flintstone home.
Yeah, clearly not domesticated.
Yeah, Yoshi is domesticated. You can ride him, you can
Mhm.
float with him,
Mhm.
and so yeah, it's got to be Yoshi. I'm thinking.
And it's also
And-
easy to feed.
Oh.
It's also easy to feed him, right? Because if you just give him you just give him eggs and like just let him.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
the
go to town.
manner in which you see him being fed in the games is like when Mario's like riding on top of him. Then the first like Mario game with Yoshi, Mario like hits him on the head, which is what makes him stick out his tongue. I'm like, that's
Mm.
just animal abuse, Mario. Come on.
Mario does a lot of things that probably would get him in trouble with PETA. Actually, now I think about it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure.
But yeah,
But all right, Yoshi's in the lead.
56% say Yoshi.
All right.
Joshua Hicks saying, don't forget Action Comics #1 was dated June 1938. Okay.
Okay, you got it. Won't forget that.
Not the question, but ATJ saying, let's go, was going for blue, but blue is pulling up the tail right now at 16.2. So, but there's still time to vote.
Still time to vote, guys. Still time to vote. I see Annie Fox here saying blue would be a great stalker deterrent. I'm a little concerned for you, Annie. You okay over there?
That makes me nervous.
All right. What is this week's comic shop shout out, Ashton?
This week's comic shop shout out goes to Carol and John's Comic Book Shop, and it comes from James. I don't see a mention of where this is located. But nevertheless, James says that they are the best. They always have what he's looking for. And if they don't have it in stock at that moment, then he'll order it. Then they order it and let you know when they have it ASAP. And apparently there's a store kitty cat, which I love. So we'll show you some. I love when stores have like just cats or dogs wandering around. It's the best. We'll show you some pictures inside of Carol and John's comic shop during the credit roll. You can check that out. If you want us to shout out, oh, Johnny gave me a heads up. They are in Cleveland. So Carol and John's comic shop is in Cleveland, Ohio.
All right, cool.
Where was I going with that? If you want to shout out your local comic shop on the show, find us on social media, tag your shop. If they don't have a handle, leave their name and use the hashtag support your LCS. I don't know what happened there. Forgot it. And we'll shout out to the comic shop on the show. Jesus, save me. Get me out of here.
So, I don't know about Jesus, but I'll save you right now. Brain farts are allowed on this show. It's all right. Like, follow, and subscribe. This is your weekly reminder. You can hang out with me at PREVIEWSworld, and you can hang out with Ashton at
Free Comic Book Day.
All right. And if you were following us already, you would already see that I did an interview with Alex Ross, like the Alex Ross. I called him the Phenom on Twitter because he really is a comic book phenom. He is doing a series called a graphic novel, original graphic novel called Fantastic Four Full Circle. Got to sit down with him to do my regular ongoing Get Graphic series. And he just kind of gives me some details on the evolution of the series of this particular book. And we get some neat process art from him as well. And yes, this book is beautiful. Yes, you should probably pre-order it now. Yes, there is a previews exclusive version available as well. Actually, Johnny, can you scroll down to show the PX version? It should be the second one. Here we go. But yeah, it comes in a nice slipcase, which you saw up top. It's a nice blue slipcase. And I think it's about $10 more than the regular version. Definitely worth checking out. I know I'm definitely picking up one because this is something special that is being released by Abrams Books and Abrams Comics Art and Marvel and, of course, Alex Ross in previews. All right, guys, that is it for PREVIEWSworld Weekly this week. I'm one of your hosts, Troy Jeffrey Allen.
I'm your other host, Ashton Greenwood.
All right, and hey, we'll see you at the spinner rack. Catch you next week.
Don't forget that you can catch PREVIEWSworld Weekly streaming live every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific at PREVIEWSworld on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.